Tracy here with another video. Today I'm going to show you how to create a beautifully collaged card using the supplies from the February Love from Lizzie card kit, Tea with Tilda. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you a special trick. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so here we go. So I wanted to show you what we're making today, and let me kind of get you close to it. You can see that there are multiple layers, and that's the main point I want to get across about doing collage on cards, is that you still want to do multiple layers just as if you were doing a journal. So we'll go ahead and jump in with the first steps of getting our layers. So I'm going to start here with some of my, a piece of actually watercolor paper. So you do want to, in most cases, use some sort of a water resistance paper. And here I've got some frayed burlap, I've got my bundled sage, and then I believe I'm going to go for my uncharted mariner, because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to coordinate with my ephemera that I have that exists. So I'm using this little white mat here, and I'm just going to spray my spray right onto the mat and add a little bit of water. So I'm starting out with the bundled sage, and I'm spreading it out with my fingers, wetting my paper a little, and I'm going to start here with my foundation layer. So that's layer one. We stop right there, dry it. You can add droplets of water if you want to, or wait, but we do more than one layer of the bundled sage, so you'll see here in a moment. And I'm not looking to get it bone dry, just dry enough that I can add another layer. And I'm just dipping now into those spots, and that's all I'm going to do with the bundled sage. So it's kind of my foundation layer, and I am adding some droplets of water, and then I'll hit it again with my heat tool. Guys, I need a black heat tool. This one is just getting ridiculous with ink on it. Oh well, it's a well-loved tool, right? So we'll go ahead and get that dry, and this already looks beautiful exactly like it is, but we do want to kick it up a notch here. So I'm just going to dab off any excess here. Get it a little bit more dry. And then we'll move on to the next color, which is going to be my frayed burlap. And I'm just going to lightly spritz it onto my little white mat. And the reason I do it onto a white mat is so I can actually see it. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I'd do it on my black mat. And this time, I'm just grabbing and tapping, because I just want those little dots of color. I don't want the whole thing too much spread in. I'm adding a little bit of water, and then we'll go ahead and hit it again with that heat tool. So this is Ink Smooshing 101. Only instead of using ink, I'm using my sprays. Listen, I love my sprays. I just do. They're just handy, that's all. You could do this with your ink. So don't think that you're limited to using sprays to do it. So now I'll come back in and just pick up the rest of that and get myself a little dirt. Those are finger quotes, texture going on. And finally, I'm going to come in with my uncharted mariner, and I'm only going to spray a little bit, and I want to focus that, concentrate it towards the center. So the first step in building a collage on a card or anything is to decide where your center is, so to speak, and then build from there. So kind of like building blocks. So I'm wanting my center to be this blue, and it's pretty dark, but that's okay. I'm going to lighten it up a bit. It's going to kind of be the backdrop for my focal points. And if you can already see it, now that I've kind of let the ink go where it wants to go, it's going to dictate how I build my collage. So if you can see, it kind of seems to start out from the bottom left and then work its way up. And so that's where I'm going to start. So just a little bit more water, a little bit more drying. I just love this Uncharted Mariner. It's such a beautiful blue. Oop, got a siren going on there somewhere. Better than the sound of a heat tool, right? So now I'm going to come in with some of my Distress ink in white. so the picket fence, because I do want to lighten that up a little bit. Got a little bit too dark for me, so I'm just going to remedy. So never give up on what you're doing there. Play with it. And this will react to water too, so you'll see here in a moment. So I'm just pouncing that on, and you see how it's already lightened it up. And the main reason that I want to lighten it is because what's happening next. So once I get this wet and then I dry it, you'll see the next step where I want what I'm going to be doing to actually show up. Although most of what I'm doing is going to be around the edges. And here I'll just dab up any excess here and just make sure that it's nice and dry. And so there I've got my foundation of how I'm going to build my collage. Just get it dry on the back side here. Try not to get it too warpy. It's gonna warp. It's the name of the game. It's how things work around here. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some stickers. Okay, stickers. What do you mean stickers? So like I said, stick around to the end and I'll show you how I made these stickers with the Love from Lizzie ephemera. And they're shiny, no worries. We're going to take care of that. And I'm just going to kind of randomly add them. They almost blend in with the background. So you'll see that they're mostly here for texture and color. So I've got this little floral one going on here. And let me tell you, just for future reference, once you've got these stickers on, you do not want to add a lot of heat to this. Okay, because they will melt. So we'll get one thrown there. And again, these are still background pieces. They're not anything that's going to be showing up in the foreground. They're just part of the texture of our collage. Let's get another one down here. Maybe we'll get it up over here. There we go. And let's see. Let's grab another. Kind of just building up on the outside edges. See, I'm thinking I might use that one as one of my main collage pieces, but I haven't decided yet. This is kind of a build as you go situation. Let's get one of these stickers right here. And I think I'm good with the stickers. I'll just trim off the excess. And I'm just trimming off a little butterfly there. I don't want to waste him, so I'm going to put him someplace else. There we go. It's tiny, but it's still, another point of interest to look at. And I'm going to attempt to trim this off. I don't do a very good job of it. Just my trimmer. Things don't want to work for me in these last couple of days. But I do want this to be the size that I want it, which is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So I don't want to trim off too much of my stuff that I added on. There we go. Now I've got it the size I want it. But it's shiny. I'm just going to kind of rub on these. And let's get it unshiny. We don't want that shine. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to grab a paintbrush, if I can find one here, and then I've got some Liquitex matte medium, and I'm just going to pour some out onto my little mat here, and I'm going to paint a very thin coat of it over top of everything here. So remember, our ink is water reactive, so we want to be careful with that we're not spreading it around too much. A little bit doesn't matter, but mostly you want to cover everything. So this is going to serve two purposes. It's going to make sure that our stickers stay stuck down, and it's going to, once it dries, make that layer appear matte instead of shiny, and you'll see. So this is where I experiment with heat and find out that don't use heat. It will melt your stickers. At least with what I use. Now see, they still look shiny, but that's okay. It has to dry, and it dries matte. I will do a second coat. So already it's kind of drying back, but let's get a second coat on here. And I'm going to go a little bit heavier, and then I'm going to set this aside and let it dry so you can see the final result. But definitely try this. Now this trick that I show you at the end will work with anything that is laser printed. So all the Love from Lizzie stuff is laser printed. So this will work. If you don't know, try it. If it doesn't work, then it's not laser printed. Just kind of making sure that I've got it all over all those shiny parts. And then we'll let that dry. Okay, now that it's dry, you can see that they're still a little bit shiny, but not too bad. They're fairly matte compared to how they were. And it's not still 100% dry. If you wait for it to dry 100%, you can actually kind of sand it a little bit. So now I'm just coming in with a word stamp, just whatever word stamp you have, and adding some more texture to the background. And you really can't even see it, and that's okay. I'm not really looking to see it so much as I'm looking for texture. And I'm just using the frayed burlap distress oxide. All right, so the background is basically done. Now it's time to start building. And I think I want to add just a wee bit more color here. So I'm going to go ahead and edge this here with my vintage photo, because I can see that within the little stickers inside, there's that same sort of reddish brown tone. So I want to pull that in by using the vintage photo. And I'm just coming along the edges here. Just making sure that there's no kind of white showing through the edges. And I'm going to keep that out because I'm going to be using it to kind of age some of my ephemera too, because I don't want bright white on here now that I have, most of my colors are muted and neutral tones. So I'm going to grab some of the ephemera that's not stickers and start building my piece. So I know I want some more of the floral, and I'm going to start down at the bottom corner, and I'm going to work my way from left to right, corner to corner. Kind of like almost like building blocks or Tetris blocks or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and darken down the inside and the edges here of this piece of ephemera, and I'm going to go, I want this to lay catty corner, so you'll see here in a moment. So almost an L shape down in the left hand corner from which to build. And don't be afraid to audition your stuff, because you're looking there at your main focal color and building off of that as well. So I'm going to start there. And then I'm going to grab some ephemera from my stash. I have quite a bit, like cut apart or cut, printables that I've collected throughout the years and things like that. And so I want to add like a ticket or something different to my image. So bear with me here while I go hunting it down. Okay, here's one of my boxes with collected stuff. And I'm just going to grab a couple of little pieces, and I'm going to start tucking them around. And remember, I'm building from left to right, bottom to top, catty corner. So, got that little ticket there, and let me see, what else can I find here? I don't want to put a lot of things that aren't the Love from Lizzie stuff, but I do want I do want some variety. So I think I like that. Definitely want to go ahead and antique up the edges here of each of these other little pieces just so that they kind of go with the rest of the image. And notice that in a lot of cases, I don't glue the whole thing down. I glue down just a little bit of it in case I want to tuck something up underneath it. So always leave yourself openings for tucking things in to kind of help balance things out. So let's see here. I've got my glue, so I'm going to start gluing things down here a little bit. We'll go ahead and get this glued down. And notice I'm not, you can glue it all down later, but you can't, you know, the less you have to unglue, the better. So I know I want that little ticket kind of tucked underneath there. And I think I want that to cross over. So see, I'm leaving a big opening so I can tuck things behind it. Because I think I want this ticket back behind it. And I'm going to treat this ticket almost like a pocket. I'm not sure if I'll tuck anything in it or not, but I need it to be there in case I want to. So if you think of like a Jenga game or something like that, you're going to start building, but you want things to balance. You don't want it to fall over. So right now it's right heavy, so I need to come back to the left a little. And then it's still kind of left bottom heavy, so you'll see what I mean as I start to build up. Just like Jenga. Although I've never played Jenga, I've seen it played on TV. Okay. So notice I don't have that thing completely glued down either. I have it just kind of, you know, partially glued. All right, so let's see. Is there anything else in this bucket that I want? I don't think so. I think I'm going to come back to my Love from Lizzie ephemera from the Tea with Tilda because I want, this is my focal point, believe it or not. And so I have to decide how it's going to come on here. And just because it's up there higher does not mean that it can't be a focal point. So I think I like the way that's going to sit. So I'm going to go ahead and just run my Vintage Photo ink over it so that it kind of just goes along with the rest of the images on the card. And I'm just going to plop glue in the middle and tuck it back behind. See what I mean about leaving tuck space? So now we've kind of built some building blocks going from left to right to left to right. And I'm going to go ahead and add glue now just to help some of these stick down. Okay. So we could call this done. And you know, I'd be pretty close to saying, yeah, I'm super happy with it. But what I'm doing here is I'm looking for my Love from Lizzie goodies because guess what, friends? I would like a little lace on here. So let's find my lace. Here we go. This is the beautiful lace that came in the kit. And I just want to lay lace right down along that left-hand side. Just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a bead of glue. I'm just going to kind of straighten this out a little before I start getting too comfortable with glue. I'm going to run a bead of glue down where I want the lace to stick. Then I'll lay the lace on it and let the whole thing dry. And then trim off the excess. So there we're fairly balanced out. The space between the topmost of the topmost of the ephemera on top and the space between the bottom is about the same. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this little wooden heart. And this little heart came from the January kit, but it's a little wooden heart, and I'm just going to leave it in its natural state here. I like the color of it with everything else. Just add quite a lot of glue so it doesn't come off. And lay that down. Just kind of give it a good press for a few seconds so that it kind of stays stuck. And then it's time to go ahead and mount this onto a card base. So I have this beautiful blue card base, which I love it with, but the whole thing is still kind of warped. So rather than glue it down directly onto here, I'm going to straighten out this by creating basically a platform for it. So I've got two pieces that I'm going to cut down to just a little bit smaller than it is of 120-pound cardstock, so that I've got a total of 240 pounds of already straight cardstock. I'm going to glue those two pieces together, and I'm using here art glitter glue, so it's not a terribly wet glue, but it is wet glue. It is what it is. I like using wet glue. I'm just going to glue these together, and they don't have to be perfect. Okay, I just need that nice stiff backing, plus it'll help raise it up a little bit. And then I'm going to use some rip and stick tape or double-sided tape and just lay it down onto the white paper, lots of it, because it's going to be what helps hold down flat my kind of warped piece of watercolor paper. So I'm impatient. You can straighten that paper out after you're done getting it all wet and then work, but I can't do that. I've never been able to do that. I just have to work with it right away. So I've got all that nice sticky up, and I'm just going to lay this down onto here and just give it a good press everywhere to just straighten out any warped parts of that piece of watercolor paper. And then it's also got just a little bit of lift off of the card base. And if there's any excess hanging off, just trim it. No biggie. Just making sure it's good and stuck down. And then you see I can glue it down to the card base, and it won't be warped or too hard to stick onto there, and it won't warp my kind of a thinner card base. That's some basil cardstock there that my card base is. And so you guys know it's not the heaviest, but man, are there some beautiful colors. I love this shade of blue. So I'm going to glue the dickens out of it. And you, of course, can do the inside of the card as well. You can add more. I mean, do your thing. Have fun with it. Let's get this glued down as straight as I possibly can. It does not have to be perfect. This is definitely not Hallmark. So I'm just going to give it a good press here and make sure that it's good and stuck down. Let me flip this over in case there's ink on the other side that I can't see. And I'll just go ahead and stick some heavy stuff on here and walk away and let it dry. Notice I have a bowl of water there. Let's get back to the beginning here. And I want to show you how I made the stickers out of the ephemera. And this is so easy, and you might have seen it before, but if you haven't, here's something new. So I've got here packing tape. All I'm doing is laying my ephemera down onto that packing tape, design side down on the sticky. Let's see, let me grab some tweezers, see if I'm trying to get two on one so I can show you both. Okay, and then just make sure that it's good and stuck down, and the bowl of water I have next to me is warm water. I'm going to go ahead and burnish these down. Okay, and then I'm just going to pick it up and I'm going to dump it in the bowl of water. And I'm going to let it sit for 30 seconds or so, maybe longer. You can walk away, it doesn't matter. The design won't wash away for you. And you can see that I've done them with lots of different pieces. And I've just used, like, in some cases I used some parchment to lay it on. In other cases I had some leftover from double-sided tape, backer sheets. So I've just stuck them down onto that. Just make sure this is good and wet, and then I'm just going to pull it out of the water. I'm just making sure I'm rubbing lots of water into it. I'm going to pull it out of the water. I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm going to gently peel away the paper. And you want to do this gently. Typically the design won't come off, but sometimes it will if you're too rough on it. So I do it in layers. I get off as much as I can that'll wipe off without force. And then I'll just throw it back in the water and let it soak some more. But you can see that that design has already mostly transferred over to the packing tape. So I'll just keep peeling back this paper, and then I'll throw it back in the water, let it soak a little bit more, clean up my mess, and just keep working at it until there's no more of the paper left and the design has been completely transferred over. So this is a fun little trick, especially if you want stickers out of your ephemera or you want a clear background, because with this, then you're not worried about the any of the white portions. So see, I'm just gently rolling that paper off of there, leaving that design behind. Again, this only works with laser printed. It doesn't seem to work with inkjet printed. I've tried it. Just in case. Isn't that just beautiful? Now there's still a little bit of paper on there. So I'm going to throw it back in the water, and you can barely see the paper, but you can feel it with your fingers. If you feel it with your fingers, you want to put it back in the water so that you don't have to rub too hard to get that off of there. And it only takes just a few seconds. And we'll pull that back out and get the rest of that paper off. And what I'm doing here is I have just this piece of thing that my foam strips were on. I'm just going to cut a piece off here and use it as a backer, because for whatever reason with the packing tape and the water, the tape stays sticky. It's some sort of hoodoo magic, I couldn't tell you, but it does. So don't ask me about that magic, I don't know. Just make sure these are nice and clean. Get all that excess paper off. Okay. Now I'm going to take just a microfiber cloth. You can use any kind of lint-free cloth. And I'm just going to kind of wipe it off so it's kind of dry. And then I'll flip it over, kind of wipe off my surface there and lay it down and wipe off the other side. And there we have our little clear stickers. And you can just stick them onto, like I said, some parchment or onto just a backer sheet. And then you can cut them out. You can cut them out beforehand if you want to. But here's how I cut them out. I just cut around it. It doesn't really matter because they're clear. So you can easily fussy cut around this. And it's just less that you have to try and cover that's shiny. You don't even have to do this. But look at even the very smallest details show up here. It's so pretty. There we go. We've got our sticker. So hopefully you stuck around to see this and learned something today. Or if you learned it a long time ago and forgot about it, go play. Go do it. So here we are. This is the finished card. I do want a sentiment on here, kind of. So we all know that I'm not a super sentiment fan, but I do kind of like just some of these words. So I'm just going to select a word here, and I don't even know which word I want for sure. I'm just going to pick a word. In the garden looks like it'll work because, right, it looks like they're in a garden. And I'm not going to alter that whatsoever. I'm just going to stick it down and call it a day. And we have completed our collage card. Ta-da! I hope you like this video, friends. If you do, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I will have the Love from Lizzie stuff listed down below. And see, here it is up close, and you can see that the shine is, you know, a lot diminished from the stickers. So that's it, friends. Here's a couple of still pictures, or at least one still picture. Thanks so much for coming. Have a fabulous day. Take care. Bye-bye.